Hi, and welcome to Tea with Intuitives podcast. I'm Brittany, an esoteric healer and a spiritual life coach.
And I'm Meli, an Akashic reader, past life psychic, and channeling coach. And each episode, we answer one of your questions about spirituality, the Akashic records, energy healing, meditation, spirit guides, and the unseen world.
So we invite you to grab your cup of tea as we answer today's question. What is ancestral healing and how do they help us? From Camilla R. But Meli, that was such a the suspense is killing me. But Meli, first, what tea are you drinking?
I am the boring one today because I'm having my classic mix, which is called the Sublime Chamomile, Rose, and Lemongrass.
Sounds great. I have English. No, sorry, it's not English. It's one of the European countries' breakfast tea.
Okay.
It's Irish.
Oh.
Irish breakfast tea.
Oh, I like it. It kind of matches with your background.
I am in Ireland today on vacation.
Yeah. So if you're not watching this on Spotify or YouTube, there's kind of a meadow or prairie behind Brittany, and it's cloudy. So, it fits with the UK.
Yeah, the homeland, my ancestral homeland.
Oh, nice.
It is true, and it's very fitting for today's podcast. When I first did a genetic DNA thing, it said I was 96 or 7% English.
Nice.
And then it changed over time. Now there's like 40% English and there's some French in there.
Oh, alors on peut parler français ensemble?
Yeah, exactly what she said.
I said so we can speak French together.
I would love it. Can you just speak something and just keep going?
What do you want me to say? Qu'est-ce que tu veux que je dise?
Oh my God. I'm in love. Maybe say can you say what is ancestral healing and how do they help us?
Qu'est-ce que la guérison ancestrale et comment est-ce qu'ils peuvent nous aider?
For all of our French listeners.
Yes. There are French listeners.
Yes, I wish.
They watch on YouTube and they put on the automatic subtitles. They set it to French and some of them are bilingual. So because I'm getting feedback and questions from francophones, either from Quebec or France. So we are international.
Yay. Yeah. If you want to speak in French at any point during this podcast, just do it.
Oh, okay. So I might surprise you.
Yeah. I like it.
Yeah. So maybe today we're not tea with intuitives. We are thé avec intuitive.
Yep. Sounds good. I wish I knew French. I did tell you guys I was dreaming in French once.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
And you were understanding.
Yeah, there was this little kid that came up to me or something that was talking to me, and then
wow.
That was so cool.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Speaking of England countrysides and French language, ancestors, and how do they help us heal?
Yeah. In so many ways. I don't know where to start. I think we can start by talking about our ancestors from our biological family who are helping us from the other sides. And we've talked about that in previous episodes. I mean, when we have a close one who crosses over, they send us signs. They are there to help us, to motivate us. For example, my father had problems with addiction, mainly tobacco, and that was the main reason why he died. But also with gambling in the past. So when you have that pattern of addiction, like you lose an addiction and then you gain another, or you just have lots of them all at the same time. And my brother used to have the same pattern, having an addiction and then dealing with one, it's gone, and another one shows up. And when my father died, my brother asked my father can you please help me with my addiction with tobacco? And my brother stopped smoking. And I always felt like, wow, this is so powerful because my father is a young soul. So in between lives, he's kind of training to be a spirit guide. But since he's not an old soul, there is this limit of training that he has. So he's only working with his earth experiences. And this was one of his specialty, having gone through that in his past life. And it's also a spiritual act for him when he works like that from the astral plane to help my brother. So he's helped my brother with something that he needed help with and that he hadn't been able to deal with fully in this incarnation.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there is that immediate relationship to like the souls that we knew here that may be on the other side that we asked for help. I find a step back from that. A lot of times in readings, like a grandfatherly or grandmotherly figure will come in too. It's almost like this family member that knew us when we were babies, but we never really knew them necessarily. And then they come back in the reading to say hello and show their support for like the family's lineage. I find that to come through sometimes.
I had that. I never met my maternal grandfather. He died before I was born. And then one day I went into my Akashic records without any specific intention. I was just asking, just show me what I need to see. And then this man shows up and he's really fun and he's showing me that we've had a past life together in England. He was my brother. It was beautiful past life. And he's like, yeah, I'm your maternal grandfather. I was your maternal grandfather in this incarnation. And so I'm like, oh, wow, this is so nice. And I was always asking my mother to have stories about her father. I was fascinated. And I'm asking him, okay, so how are you working with me right now? And he's saying, I'm working with you with anything that is about love, having love in your life, receiving it, giving it. And then he's kind of half laughing, like a little smirk. And I'm like, what's going on? And he's like, don't you remember my name when I was incarnated? I was like, oh my God. His name was Aimé. Aimé in English is Amy, but we can have Amy for a man or a woman. It's written a tiny bit differently. You add an E for a woman. And it means to be loved. It means loved. Aimé. And so I was like, oh my God, it is so fitting.
It's like they're living up to their namesake, or they pick that
I
name.
feel there's a lot behind the name. Like my last name is Gay, and it means to be joyful. And I have always felt very joyful and positive. And Ainsley MacLeod's wife, her family name is Love. And she's so loving and nurturing and everything that she does. So my husband's name, his French name, because he also has a Laotian name, is Le Fort, which means the strong. And he's so strong. And when he was born in a refugee camp without, there was a little tent with a doctor there, but my mother-in-law said, like, there was this table in the tent and that was it. And there were lots of things on the table. And the doctor saw my mother-in-law who was about to give birth. And he was like, oh my God, it's imminent. So he took his arm and he went like whoosh, knocking everything on the table, telling her like, okay, lie down and have the baby right now. And she was like, and my husband was a super healthy baby. She went back to her tent and my father-in-law was still sleeping. She entered the tent and saying, hey, here's your baby. And this is why, and even in his Laotian name, it means like this rock, this strong rock. And his first name is Pierre, which means rock. So it's like rock, the strong one. And he's really strong through life, and he's someone that everyone knows they can lean on him because he's so strong.
Yeah. Wow. So it's like our names are almost these little gifts from our ancestors.
Yes. Yes. What about you, Brittany? I know your last name is Woods. Do you know anything
Well, a
like
couple
going
of
to take
things.
walks?
Yeah, as you were sharing those like amazing connections, I started thinking about my fiance, and his last name is Sarachigo, which is from Spain, and he looked it up and it means like willow, like the tree willow or something.
Wow.
And he always wants to be in nature. He spent 4 months on the Appalachian Trail. He hiked the whole thing. A part of him for a long time, and probably still does, wanted to be like to work in a national forest, like super forest boy. He wants to basically live in a forest. So that makes sense. It just occurred to me when you were talking about it.
Wow.
When I had my numerology reading with Sandra, she was on the podcast. Highly recommend her. Great, great numerology reading.
Hi, Sandra.
Yeah, I said that I didn't like the name Brittany, but I liked my nickname Britt, Britt more.
Oh, I didn't know that. I always call you Brittany. Oh
No, I
no.
don't mind either way, but like I guess I thought Brittany was too common of a name. When you're born in the 90s, almost everyone in the
Yeah,
United
Britney
States,
Spears.
almost everyone in the US, if you were born in the 90s, it's like, oh, we're gonna name her Brittany. Um,
Yeah.
so I thought it was too common a name. I didn't like that. Like I felt like so many people had this name. I wanted a more unique name. But she said that in numerology, Brittany is like a leadership, a strength. It's very sort of this external power. It's kind of this, you're in a leadership role, whereas Brit is more gentle. Um, and yeah, it kind of made sense about a lot of stuff. But yeah, that's kind of cool. Not that we're talking about names, but I do think names hold power, and I think they come from somewhere, right? A lot of us are named after not just last names, but a lot of us are named after like our ancestors.
Yeah. And I'm fascinated because with your fiance, you have the willow, and with you, you have the woods.
Yeah.
So it's kind
Yeah.
of trees coming together.
We're a very grounded family.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
So in my family, we're happy yet strong. Happy and
Happy,
strong.
strong.
Yeah. Yay.
Yay. I like it.
Yeah.
I'd say ancestral healing is pretty vast, but I know that there are a lot of specific coaches and guides that only work with ancestors. Whether it be channeling ancestors or doing energy healings or rituals, calling in ancestors. Sometimes in readings, I'll have ancestors from past lives come through. And I see this most often when I'm giving a reading, that a lot of people who have had past lives in native cultures, whether it be like in Australia, the native people there, or Native American, if we've had past lives in those very spiritual communities, it's super common to tap into that past life and have an ancestor come through that gives guidance, which is fascinating to me, and it's super cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, there is this healing that we're doing ourselves. For example, in my family, both my grandmothers have been raped. And I have noticed that my mother, my sister, and I, all the three of us have been working, healing that pattern of, rape, having fear of intimacy. And I know that for my mother, she was able to express her sexuality freely with her partner. Like there was no blockage there. And my sister, she became a surgeon detective specializing in sexual abuse.
Wow.
And now I see myself being a psychic and doing Akashic readings, and I am getting women who have a past of sexual abuse, rape, difficulties with vulnerability, intimacy. So I really feel like we are there to untie the knots,
Mhm.
and that ancestral healing, like we can be part of it. It's not just receiving. We can be proactive in helping our ancestors work through that, because our ancestors are reincarnating or will be reincarnating. So you're helping your whole ancestral lineage, and
Mhm.
you're also helping your future, all the future incarnations and your future yous.
Absolutely. I know the ancestral healing topic is a really big topic. It really is. There's so much that goes into it. And this is the other side of it. As I say, healing happens through action. Healing can occur through action. I firmly believe that because with every action we take, we have the opportunity to clear up karma and we have the opportunity to clear up blockages. So, I mean, you think about it this way, yoga is there's such a huge spiritual community, but also a spiritual aspect to yoga itself. Moving the body in different yogic positions or breathing, taking different actions to breathe, help clear up space in the body. So you heal through action. And for us today, as we have ancestral guidance, and as we walk through our day to day on our journey, the actions we take and the words we speak and our perspective and how we heal totally ripples out, I think, and affects those who came before us and after us. Meli, you touched so beautifully on that topic of even sexual healing. And I think healing through poverty, if you've grown up with generations of poverty, you empowering your wealth in this life and taking action for that, um, I think it heals those who came before you and those who will come after you for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, I truly believe in that. My father came from a family that didn't have much money, and for a long time, he needed to work three jobs.
Mm.
His two first salaries were going to his parents. He was born in 1935, by the way, if you're wondering what. So that was pretty common, although I find it unfair. So,
Mm.
and his third job was for himself to have money. And he worked really hard until, he was older, he got married, and he was a businessman his whole life. And he was really making sure that money was working for him, so that he wasn't working too hard. And I feel like he cleared so many things about abundance. And for me, having grown up with him as a father and having grown up in a household where there was money, I've always been very trustful of money in my life. So when I left the nest and I went to study in Montreal, at first my father paid for my rent, because he was like, you're still studying and I want you to have a good head start. I'm going to help you. So I had a job, but it was part-time because I was studying. After that, when I stopped studying and I got my first job, the deal was I was being cut off from any revenue. And that was perfectly fine. That was our deal. And I was so proud. Okay, I'm going to work full time and I have money to inject myself. The thing is, when I look back, I'm like, oh my God, I remember in my bank account, at the end of the month, it was always flush. Like maybe I had $5 or $10. And I never was nervous. I always knew money is always coming to me from different sources and conveniently. And fair enough, at a certain point, I was like, oh, I have less money and I need beauty products. And my sister comes home saying, oh, I tried to be in, what was it called? It's not like Avon, but something similar. I tried to be in that, didn't work, and I have a surplus and I just want to give it to you. I was like, Yay. At the time I wasn't spiritual, but today I would say thank you, universe. So
Yeah.
I was never stressed. I was always trusting, and same thing that's happening in our lives today. I was talking to you, Brittany, beforehand, like with my husband. He knew a client was going to let him go. And he was a bit nervous, and I was telling him, don't be nervous, don't be nervous. And tomorrow he had 3 good news, like 3 sources of possible sources of income coming in. And I feel like with my father working intensely about money versus poverty in his life really helped me, just trusting the universe and knowing that money can come easily from multiple sources. It's not always easy. It can be stressful, but I always have that mindset that, things are going to fall into place.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And that's definitely something that had to heal, right? Through generations of your family, like that mindset. I've definitely had to go through that too. When I started this work and charging clients, I actually used to get free readings and free energy healings. When I first started this in 2020, you could have contacted me, everything would have been free because I had such a guilt of taking money. There was such a guilt, but it was because I was still operating from a poverty consciousness during that time. And so it took probably the first year of having a business to really stand on my own 2 feet and really allow myself to bring in wealth, because that's new to me. So yeah, we heal through action, we heal through the choices we make, and our mindset shift is really, really powerful, and it helps heal the people who come after you too. There's nothing that isn't significant, I think. Thank you for listening to the Tea with Intuitives podcast.
If you have a question for us, you can send it at teawithintuitives@gmail.com or via Instagram or YouTube.
Your love for this podcast helps us grow and reach more like-minded souls, so don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast.
Have a beautiful week.